Okay, hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about what is the structure and properties of water. Okay, structure and properties of water. What is the structure and properties of water? We are going to discuss. First of all, we are going to discuss what is the structure of water. Okay, first of all, what is the structure of water? We all know structurally water is consist of one oxygen molecule and two hydrogen, one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atom. One water molecule is consist of one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atom. Then how they react with each other? How two hydrogen atom react with an oxygen molecule? Let us see. Suppose this is the hydrogen atom. This is the nucleus of the hydrogen atom and it is the outermost shell. As the atomic number of hydrogen is 1, that's why it consists of one electron. Then when it react with oxygen, this is the nucleus of oxygen. As the atomic number of oxygen is 8, it consists of 8 electron, 2 at the K cell or the inner cell and 6 electrons at the outermost cell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons. This is the oxygen nucleus. Nucleus is always positively charged, electrons are negatively charged. And when it react with another hydrogen atom, okay, suppose this is another hydrogen atom, this is the electron. Now what's happened? These electrons are shared with each other and covalent bonds are formed. That means in the water molecule, oxygen combined with two hydrogen atoms by covalent bonds. Okay, so this will be like this. Two electrons. This is the covalent bond here found between one hydrogen atom and other oxygen molecule, and here other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other covalent bond is found. Okay, this is another hydrogen atom. So in this way a water molecule is found. This is the covalent bond. Here it is also covalent bond. Okay. Now see, there are two different type of electrons we will find. A type of electron which is already shared. Okay. How a covalent bond is found? Covalent bond is found by sharing of electrons by two atoms. Okay. So here we will find electrons which are shared and other type of electron which are not shared. Okay. One type of electron which is shared. The shared pair of electron is the electron which is shared is called shared pair of electron. SHR, it is shared pair of electron. And those electrons which are not shared and free for further bonding, those electrons are called lone pair of electron. Okay, getting my point on shared pair of electron and lone pair of electron. Shared pair of electron which are already form the bond, and those electrons which are not form any bond, those are called lone pair of electron. Okay. Now what's happened? These shared pair of electrons are pushed towards each other. Pushed towards each other. Which are now these shared pair of electrons. These shared pair of electrons are pushed towards each other. That's why the structure of the hydrogen, the structure of the water molecule is bent. That's why the structure of hydrogen molecule is bent. See, that's why the structure of the hydrogen water molecule is bent like this. Water, these are bent. Suppose this is the outermost cell, here it is the hydrogen atom, and here another hydrogen atom. Okay, this is the nucleus, inner cell, outer cell, and these are the lone pair of electrons. These are the lone pair of electrons, these are the shared pair of electrons. As these shared pair of electrons pushed towards each other, that's why they are bent, and instead of any 180 degree, they present in a bond angle of 104.5 degree. Okay, so instead of 180 degree, they bend and present in 104.5 degree. Okay, so this is the general structure, or it's also called Bohr's model. B-O-H-R apostrophe S. Bohr's model of water. Bohr's model of water, structure of water. This is the general structure. If we see ball and stick model, another model is there. Instead of Bohr's model, another model is there, that is called ball and stick model. Ball and stick model. Then it is like this. This is the oxygen atom with this hydrogen atom H plus or minus. This is H plus. Oxygen atom is oxygen atom bonded with two hydrogen atoms. This is the ball and stick model. Here this is act as stick and these three are assumed as ball. So these sticks are nothing but the covalent bond. Okay, and this is the oxygen atom and these two are hydrogen atom. So this is the ball and stick model, and this is the Bohr's model of structure of water. Okay, another thing I want to say, thus these shared pair of electrons attract or pushed towards each other, that's why the structure of the water molecule is bent. Again, next thing is this covalent bond, and these covalent bonds are present nearer to the nucleus of oxygen as compared to the nucleus of the hydrogen. Okay, try to understand. The covalent bonds in water molecule are present nearer to the nucleus of oxygen as compared to the nucleus of hydrogen. That's why a positive charge is developed on hydrogen at one end. This end is act as positive because hydrogen molecule is one end act as positive, and other end the oxygen atom is act as negative. Okay, and due to this charge separation between two ends, charge separation at two ends, one end act as positive due to presence of hydrogen, other end act as a negative as oxygen molecule is there. Due to this positive and negative charge separation, water is also called polar in nature. Polar in nature. That means polarity is developed due to the charge separation. Why? How this charge separation formed? Because the covalent bond is present nearer to the oxygen atom nearer to the nucleus of oxygen atom as compared to the nucleus of hydrogen atom. That's why positive charge develop on hydrogen atom and negative charge develop on oxygen atom. That's why the polar nature of water develop, and water is called polar in nature, or it is the polarity of water. Okay, so this is the structure of water. This is the Bohr's model. This is the ball and stick model. Next we are going to discuss what are the properties of water. Okay, properties of water. First, we know water is colorless, does not have any color, odorless, that means does not have any smell, colorless, odorless and transparent, TRANS, transparent, that means light can pass through it easily, and transparent chemical substance which exist in all three forms, that is in form of solid, in form of liquid and in form of gas. In form of solid it is called ice, in form of liquid it is called water, in form of gas it is called water vapor. Okay, water is existing in all three forms, solid, liquid and gas, and it is colorless, odorless and transparent chemical substance. Okay, first point is clear, first property. Then second property is water is a solvent. Water is a solvent. As we know, water is called universal solvent because maximum solute particles or maximum organic and inorganic chemicals are dissolved in water. Maximum organic and inorganic chemicals, or that we are called solute in a solution. In a solution, maximum solutes are dissolved in water. That's why water is called a solvent. And what is the reason that means water is solvent? There are two reasons that water is a good solvent, and those reasons are water is a solvent due to two reasons. First, water is its small size. Water is very small in size. First reason is its small size. Being small in size, it acts as a solvent. Then second point is its polarity nature. I discussed earlier what is the polarity nature. That means positive charge develops at one end, negative charge develops at another end. That's why due to the charge separation, this is called the polarity nature of water, charge separation. Okay, so this is the second property of water. Water is a solvent due to two reasons, small size and polarity nature. Then third property. Third property is its thermal nature. Its thermal property. Maybe it is called as thermal property. Thermal property is that water have high HIGH, high specific heat and high latent heat, LATENT, latent heat of vaporization. Water have high specific heat and high latent heat of vaporization. What does this specific heat and latent heat of vaporization means? First, what is specific heat? Specific heat refers to amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of any substance at a specific level. Okay, specific heat refers to amount of heat energy required to increase temperature of any substance at a specific amount. Okay, specific amount. Suppose the temperature of water is 10 degrees Celsius. The amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of that water from 10 degrees Celsius to 11 degrees Celsius is called the specific heat. Okay, this is the specific heat, and we say that water have high specific heat. That means water have a high melting point and boiling point. Okay, that means here you can write as, this is for your knowledge, what is specific heat. In property of water you will write what that means. That means water have high boiling point and melting point. Water have high boiling point. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. You know, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. That means water's boiling point is very high. If water will boil at 40 or 50 degrees Celsius, if water will boil at 40 or 50 degrees Celsius, then we all our living organisms will melt in summer. Not only human beings, all plants and other living organisms, all other living animals also melt in summer, because our body's maximum composition is water. Okay, thanks to the high boiling point of water, we will survive in maximum temperature also. So due to high boiling and melting, due to the high specific heat, water have high melting and boiling point. Okay, this specific heat part is clear. Then what is latent heat of vaporization? Okay, what is this latent heat of vaporization? For evaporation process, for evaporation of water also, maximum or high heat energy is required. For evaporation, evaporation means when water from liquid part it convert into vapor part. When water convert into vapor part, then that process is called evaporation. Okay, for evaporation also high heat energy required. High heat energy required. Okay, you may ask why high heat energy required. The maximum heat energy required or more amount of heat energy required to break the hydrogen bond present in water. Okay, this is the water molecule. Oxygen atom bonded to hydrogen atom by two covalent bonds. But as I said in the previous video, what is hydrogen bond? This hydrogen atom is bonded with another oxygen molecule of another oxygen atom of another hydrogen molecule by hydrogen bond. Similarly, this hydrogen atom also bonded to another water molecule by hydrogen bond. Here also another water molecule is bond, oxygen, water, another hydrogen, oxygen. Okay, one water molecule bond with a maximum 4 water molecule, another 4 water molecule by hydrogen bond. So due to the presence of hydrogen bond in water, this water required high heat energy for its evaporation and also have high boiling point due to the presence of hydrogen bond. These hydrogen bonds require maximum energy for their breaking. To break these hydrogen bonds, water required maximum or high heat energy. Okay, so for evaporation, high heat energy required, and this energy required during evaporation is called latent heat of vaporization. So the energy required for evaporation process is called latent heat of vaporization. Okay, so water have high specific heat and high latent heat of vaporization. That means when water that means for evaporation process high heat energy is required. Okay, assume that in our body water molecules are also present. When our body heat up, then water molecules from our body is released out or evaporates from our body when you are playing in sun or you are working in any heat condition. Then water molecule from our body evaporate. Okay, that evaporation of water cause cooling effect in our body. Try to understand. If evaporation of water does not occur, then those heat energy are present or remain in our body. And if those heat energy are present in our body, then our body's temperature or internal temperature of our body will be increased. But that not occurs due to the evaporation process of water. When we are playing or when we are exposing to sunlight, our body temperature increases and water molecule evaporates from our body. That's why due to the evaporation of water, our body temperature being in a normal condition, not being overheated. That's why water also called as a thermal buffer. Okay, water is also called thermal buffer. Why water is called thermal buffer? Because water evaporates from our body and maintain the temperature of our body by being overheated. Okay, that's why water is called as thermal buffer. Thermal refers to temperature, buffer refers to who maintain. Who maintain what? Here temperature. Because water maintain the temperature of our body, that's why water is also called thermal buffer. Okay, this part is clear. Third property, that is the thermal property. That means water have high specific heat and high latent heat of vaporization. That means water also have high boiling point and melting point. Then the next property. Next property is its density. Density refers to unit per mass volume. Unit per mass volume. Okay. Density of water increases when we increase temperature from 0 degree Celsius to 4 degree Celsius. At 4 degree Celsius, water have maximum density. At 4 degree Celsius, we obtain the maximum density of water. That is 1000 kg per meter cube. Okay, so this will be important. The maximum density of water is obtained at 4 degree Celsius. From 0 degree Celsius to 4 degree Celsius, density increases. But after 4 degree Celsius, when we increase the temperature, with increase in temperature, density decreases. With increase in temperature, beyond the 4 degree Celsius, the density of water decreases. Okay, so water is a type of organic solvent or what is a chemical whose density is maximum in liquid condition as compared to its solid condition. That means water have maximum density in liquid condition as compared to the solid, that means ice condition. That's why ice floats in water, because density of ice or ice is lighter than the water molecule. That's why, because the density of ice is less or lighter as compared to the water molecule, that's why not only ice but also human beings are able to swim in water. Other floating plants also, ship, boats also able to float in water due to the density. What is the density of water? Density of the water is more as compared to its solid form. That's why we are able to float or swim in water. Okay, so this is the density part. With the increase in temperature from 0 degree Celsius to 4 degree Celsius, density of water increases and we obtain the maximum temperature at 4 degree Celsius. This is very important for short question. Then with the increasing temperature beyond 4 degrees Celsius, density decreases. Okay, this property also clear. Then the next property. Next property is transparency. I discussed earlier transparency. Light is a transparent solvent, transparent chemical solvent. Water is a transparent solvent. That means light can easily pass through it. Light can easily pass through it. As water is transparent, not translucent or opaque, that's why light can easily pass through it. Okay. In clear water, but in turbid water, due to the presence of other solute particles, light does not pass that much. But in clear water, light easily passed through it. Okay, that is the sixth, transparency. Then sixth point, it's cohesion and adhesion. Cohesion and adhesion. Cohesion refers to a force of attraction between similar molecules. What is cohesion? Attraction force or force of attraction between similar molecules. Suppose water molecule. This is one water molecule. One water molecule bonded with another water molecule by hydrogen bond. So this hydrogen bond here, it acts as cohesion force or force of attraction between similar molecule. This is a water molecule, this is also water molecule. Both are similar molecules. That's why between these similar molecules, the force of attraction, that is the hydrogen bond, here is act as cohesion. Okay, cohesion. Then what is adhesion? Adhesion is the force of attraction between dissimilar molecules. Force of attraction between dissimilar molecules. Dissimilar molecules. Assume water is flowing through a water pipe. Okay. In a water pipe, suppose water is flowed. So inside this pipe, the force between water molecule and another water molecule, the attraction force between water molecule and water molecule is called cohesion force, and attraction force between water molecule and wall of pipe. Attraction force between water molecule and wall of pipe, because pipe molecule is dissimilar molecules of the water. That's why the attraction force between water molecule and pipe molecule is called adhesion force. Okay. Due to this cohesion and adhesion of water, water is easily passed through any hollow substance, or we may say in plant, water passed through tracheary elements. Okay, tracheary elements, tracheids and vessels. Water moves from root to the stem or any leaf part, any aerial part. How this is possible? Due to the cohesion and adhesion force of water. Cohesion force between water and water molecule, adhesion force between water and any tracheary molecules. That's why this cohesion, adhesion and your surface tension develops the concept of capillarity. Capillarity means upward movement of water in a capillary. Capillary means a capillary tube. This is a tube. If we imagine our tracheary elements, tracheids and vessels of xylem flowing as capillary, then the upward movement of water in the capillary or in tracheary elements is possible due to the cohesion and adhesion force. Cohesion force between water and water molecule, similar molecules, and adhesion force between water and the tracheary molecules or any other pipe molecules. Okay, so these are the general 6 properties of water. So in this video we discussed about the structure of water and properties of water. So this much in this video. We will discuss next 3 things in other video. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.